Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about a few things specifically related to this activity 01, which stands in place for your assignment 5 if you're in the 2020 spring class. So we're going to go over first cloning this activity's repo. We are not forking this repo. We're just going to clone it, and then we're going to actually create branches inside of it for your code additions. So after we create the branch, then we're going to create a new project in the IDE called PyCharm. Then we're going to make sure during the installation or creation of the project, we're going to make sure that our Python environment is a Conda virtual environment, specifically the one that we created for the class. And then we're going to make some sort of change inside of our branch. We're going to make sure we're in the branch in PyCharm. We're editing. We're going to go back to GitHub Desktop, see what the changes are, and then commit and push our branch edits to remote, i.e. the GitHub website. Okay, so I'll get started now. And you'll need GitHub Desktop and PyCharm in order to do this. Okay, so I'm going to do this on the Mac, fairly similar on a Windows machine. So here I am in the repo. Notice I'm in the organization for the class, and I'm in the correct repo here. Okay, and rather than fork and clone, I'm actually just going to clone. Okay, so we're not forking, we're just going to clone. So I'm going to hit clone, and I'm going to open this in desktop for GitHub Desktop. Okay. Let me hit that again. Sorry, I had to delete an older version. Okay, now we're showing here. Okay, so I have the repo here from the GitHub website. This is the local path. I'm just going to save it to my desktop. I think you should save it in your GitHub folder along with your lessons and everything. But I'm just going to save it to my desktop specifically. Okay, so now it's cloning the repo. Now you notice there's a bit more data in this repo because we have some shape files. Well, I don't recommend storing shape files on GitHub. If they're small enough in size, it's definitely possible. Not recommended in this situation. In most situations for this class, it's probably okay. They're small enough files anyway. Okay, so we now see our repo in the GitHub desktop application. It appears I have to do an installation, but I'll wait for that. Okay, we could see the master branch as well as all the branches that are on origin. Okay, so most of you all have branches. So now I'm going to create another branch. So I'm going to call this Danny's 4th branch. Okay, so I'm going to click create new branch. Create branch again. Okay, so now I see I'm in the current branch, Danny's 4th branch. Okay, so now I'm going to fire up PyCharm. Okay, and I'm running PyCharm Community Edition. So remember, install Community. The Professional Edition is great, but after 30 days, you'll have to pay for it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new project with PyCharm. Okay, let me just, oops. Apologies, it seems PyCharm has crashed. Okay, I'm relaunching it. it's just loading in a different project, so it's taking a minute here. Okay. Okay, here we go. New project. Okay, so I'm going to create a new project. So here I have the new project window. Okay, and I'm going to navigate to where my repo is. So in my case, I actually saved it on my desktop. So I'm going to select that repo folder. And then I'm going to select the Python interpreter. And we're going to make sure this is the correct one once we launch the project, because I've set this in the past as the existing interpreter, and I've had issues where it defaulted back to some other interpreter. So this is the one I had set up for the class in Anaconda, which is in Mac. It's under your username, opt Anaconda 3, and then I called my environment Savvy. So this might be different for you. It might be geospatial or GIS or something, and then bin Python. So I'm going to create that. And then I'm going to select yes, because it's asking me, do I want to create a project from existing sources? And we have the code in there, so we do want to do that. I'm going to open this in a new window. And I'm going to get rid of this other project here. Okay, so now I have my project here. I can open this folder, and again, this should be the repo folder. Should have data, maps, either tests or test tools, okay? And these are the files you're going to actually edit. If I provided a test file for you, it should be in your tests or test folder, depending on what you called it when you created it. Okay, and then we have our main function. Okay, so again, we want to double check that we have the right interpreter. Okay, so it actually has the interpreter in this bottom area here. It shows the interpreters. We can actually select from different ones. It looks like I've saved Savvy interpreter twice. Okay, so we could set our interpreter down here. A note of caution is that every time we set our interpreter, it takes a minute for it to sort of like read everything in. And then here in PyCharm, I can also see in this lower right-hand corner thing here is that I'm on my 4th branch. I'm on Danny's 4th branch, right? So I'm not on master. I can actually switch between different branches in PyCharm on its own. So I don't even need to use the GitHub desktop application. But generally, I sort of switch between the branches in the GitHub desktop application. So if you switch here, you'll notice, like if I select master here, and you don't have to do this, but then I go back to GitHub, sometimes this will update directly to master. It might take, sometimes it takes a second, but I could also set it manually, so I can check out master. But let's go ahead and go back to our branch, okay? And let me double check to make sure it's my right branch. Yeah. Okay, so we're on the branch in GitHub. Okay, so now let's say I make some change. I'm going to create a new test. So I'm going to create a Python file by right-clicking to create new Python file, and I'm going to call it Danny's 4th branch test.py. Okay. Okay, and I'll click add right there for adding to Git. Then also, if I go up in the top left and go to PyCharm preferences, so this is the sort of top toolbar here. Let me make this a little bit smaller. I don't know if it'll let me because I have the font so large. Okay. I'll scroll down here. So we'll see a couple of menus. I think sometimes it defaults open so that appearance and behavior is the thing that's selected. Always select your project here if you want to double check your interpreter. And again, here I have Savvy as my interpreter. But let's say I didn't have this assigned. I would click this gearbox and click add. and go to Conda environment. And let's see here. I can navigate to my Conda environment. And again, under this opt Anaconda 3 env savvy, I'll have my different environments. So let's say I want to pick savvy. Then it'll be savvy, and then I can actually just navigate to bin. And then navigate, this takes a little while here, to Python. Okay, I'm going to make this available to all projects. That means if you do another project, you'll be able to find this a little bit quicker. Okay, so then it shows all the packages that I have installed. And I can hit, I can hit OK. And so if you pip install any other packages into this environment or Conda install, these will be reflected as well. Okay. All right, so I'm in the right branch. I'm in Danny's fourth branch. I'm in using the right interpreter. Now let's write some code. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so I'm just going to copy this code right here. Sorry, let's see here. Let's try this again. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and run this Python file. Okay, and it printed out hello world. Okay, so I can run it by clicking on the Python file, hitting run, or I can run it up here with this play button, and it'll show me which file I have selected. Okay, so I've made some changes. Okay, now if I go back to GitHub, I'll see that I have changes reflected on my branch. So I'm going to say added print function. Okay, and then I'm going to commit this to the branch and then publish the branch. Okay, and then if I look on GitHub, I should see that this branch has been published, and any tests I've added or any new code will be there. Okay, so you can tag me in an issue if for example you wanted to add some code or you had some questions. You say hey, and then what you do, you say look at some of my code. Can you check this out? And then you would. So for example, let me create an issue here. I'll go tests. Let me go to my fourth branch. Okay. I'm going to grab this URL, copy. Okay. And I'm going to create a new issue. But you all will work in the issues that I already created for you. But I'll say branch for tests review. And I'll drop in this link and say, at nygeog, can you review this branch? Now this is a little different from code review. This is just asking for some advice while you're still working on a branch, okay? Okay. I'll submit the new issue. And then that way when I go into GitHub, I can quickly click on this link. It's got the branch in the URL, and I'll be able to look at the code directly in GitHub. Okay, so we've cloned without forking, opened up in our GitHub desktop app, created a branch, created a new project in PyCharm, verified and made sure and selected that our Python interpreter was our Conda virtual environment for the class. And we wrote a quick test in Python. And then we published or we committed and then pushed. In the case of the first iteration of the branch, you're publishing it, you're publishing the branch. But once you have the branch established, you make an edit, you commit, and then push up to the remote, which is github.com, and it'll show up in your branch. Okay, and then it's sort of ready to be looked at and shared with some of your classmates and I. Okay, so best of luck, and thank you. If you have questions, Slack me. Thanks.